All right, let's jump straight in. We're about to dive into one of the most mind-blowing ideas coming out of physics today. Seriously, we're going to look at how the super strange, kind of bizarre world of quantum mechanics is making us rethink, well, everything, especially the nature of reality and our place in it.
So, let's start with this question. It sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi movie, doesn't it? But what if I told you this isn't just philosophy anymore? This is a very real puzzle that physicists are grappling with, right now. It's not just a thought experiment, it's something they can actually measure.
And that's really the key here. According to the research we're digging into, some of the latest breakthroughs, especially from experiments where they're literally shaping and controlling individual particles of light, are giving us evidence that's just, well, it's getting really hard to ignore. We're shifting from wild theories to things we can actually see in the lab. So let's look at the discoveries that are forcing this massive change in thinking.
Okay, so first up, we have the famous observer effect. This is pretty much the foundation, the main reason scientists are having to second-guess some of their most basic ideas about how the universe works. And it all begins with a very, very strange concept.
And that concept is called superposition. You see, down in the quantum world, things are weird. A particle, say a photon of light, doesn't actually have a fixed identity until we decide to look at it. Instead, it just exists as this kind of cloud of possibilities. It could be over here or over there, spinning one way or spinning the other way, all at the exact same time.
Now, this is where it gets really nuts. Look at the difference here. On one side, you've got pure potential, a bunch of maybes. On the other, you've got one single, definite reality. So what's the trigger? What turns all those possibilities into one single fact? It's observation. The simple act of measuring the particle forces it to, pick one, and it collapses into a single state. Even recent studies on quantum capacitance, which is basically how these tiny systems store information, confirm it all over again. The information is held as pure potential right up until an observer shows up.
Okay, so if the observer effect wasn't weird enough for you, let's build on it with our second discovery. Because this next one, entanglement, seems to just completely shatter our normal understanding of space and time.
So with entanglement, you can link up two particles so they become essentially one system. And it doesn't matter if they're right next to each other or on opposite sides of the galaxy. The part that just breaks your brain is this. If you measure something on one particle, like its spin, its partner instantly knows and takes on a related spin. Instantly. There's no message sent, no travel time, it just knows.
And this just shows you how truly bizarre this is. Even the great Albert Einstein was totally creeped out by this idea. He famously called it spooky action at a distance. He just couldn't get his head around it. But guess what? Every single experiment we've ever run to try and prove it wrong has only confirmed that it's absolutely true.
And this isn't just some abstract idea anymore. Right now, scientists are literally building the groundwork for quantum internet by sending these entangled particles through fiber optic networks. Just try to imagine that. A network where information doesn't get sent from one place to another, it just appears, fully formed, at both locations at the exact same time. The possibilities are staggering.
So just to recap, we've got observation literally changing reality, and we've got entanglement just laughing at the concepts of space and time. Our third discovery brings these huge cosmic ideas right back down to Earth and into our own heads.
There was this really fascinating study that found the way our brains handle language looks a lot like the math used in quantum mechanics. Think about it. A single word can have a bunch of different meanings, right? It's a cloud of possibilities, until the context of the sentence makes it collapse into one specific meaning. Well, research has found that this process is mathematically almost identical to how a quantum particle collapses into a single state. How cool is that?
And this, of course, leads us to a really, really big question. If the hardware inside our skulls is running on principles that look an awful lot like the quantum world, then what does that say about consciousness itself? Is our awareness just along for the ride, or could it actually be the observer we've been talking about all along?
Now, this massive question about what consciousness is doing in all this, it isn't just being asked by physicists. And this is where the source material we're exploring today makes a really fascinating leap. It suggests that while science is just now able to measure these phenomena, ancient wisdom and faith traditions might have been talking about these same ideas for thousands of years.
So let's boil down the physics principle. At its core, it says that the invisible world of quantum possibilities, that realm of pure potential, is what actually creates and gives birth to everything we can see and touch, the entire material world. The source then puts that idea right next to this quote from the book of Hebrews, written thousands of years ago. It says that the world we see wasn't made from things we can see. The parallel is pretty striking, right? It's this ancient description of reality where the invisible stuff is actually more real and more fundamental than the visible.
Okay, so the second parallel revolves around that observer effect. As we've seen, modern physics is telling us that the universe is kind of like a sea of maybes, of pure potential, until an observer, someone or something, measures it and collapses it into one concrete reality.
And this is compared to the idea from Colossians that in him all things hold together. The interpretation being offered is that if reality needs a conscious observer to actually become real, then maybe science is just now discovering the mechanism by which a divine, ultimate observer is constantly holding the universe together.
So, what are we supposed to do with all of this? How do we take these gigantic ideas from quantum physics to ancient faith and bring them down into our actual everyday lives? Well, the source argues it all comes down to one incredibly powerful principle.
Think about it. Whether you're an entrepreneur trying to make a vision real, a parent trying to shape your kid's future, or you're just trying to figure out how to get through a really tough time, this quantum principle applies. It suggests that where you put your focus actually truly matters.
So here's the bottom line. Your attention isn't passive. If the universe really works this way, then the vision you hold in your mind, the words you choose to speak, the reality you focus on with intention, these things are creative forces. They are the active observation that helps pull one reality out of that field of infinite possibility, and science is just now starting to get a glimpse of how deep that connection goes.
So I'll leave you with this. If the very fabric of the universe is built on this idea that what we observe becomes real, then that leaves us with one incredibly important and maybe even life-changing question to ask ourselves: where are you putting your attention?